Hey everyone, this is Ellie Mae with Silhouette Secrets Plus, and I have some great news today. We are now able to go back into the Silhouette Design Store and once again purchase the SVG file type for a design that you may have already purchased in the past. First, I want to explain this. You do not have to have the SVG file to cut or use the file with your Silhouette machine. If you are using the Silhouette Studio software, the file that downloads to your Silhouette library, the first file you buy in the Silhouette Design Store, is called a .studio file. That is a file type. It is proprietary to Silhouette. If you are using it in Silhouette, you are cutting it with Silhouette, that is all you need. However, if you are using a laser machine, you want to modify that file and export as an SVG for another program such as Lightburn. Typically it's laser files, or if you are trying to export as another file type. You want to purchase the SVG file, the SVG option in the Silhouette Design Store, download that to your computer, and then use the SVG file, and then you will be able to export it. And I will go through all of the details of that, but I wanted to make it very clear first that if you are just using Silhouette and using with a cutting machine, a Silhouette cutting machine, you only need the .studio file, which is what you see here in my library right now. These are all .studio files. I'm going to open this one and expand it. I needed to use this snowflake for a design that I wanted to export for my Glowforge and to use on my laser machine. In order to do that, I needed to purchase the SVG file. I'd already bought this years ago. Since the Silhouette migration in May of 2024, the website has been going through lots of changes. This option has not been available until very recently, from the time I record this video, less than 2 weeks. So it is great that it is now an option. So if I come over here to the Silhouette Design Store, you can see that I have these messages. I'm going to share a little bit more in this video, step by step, on how you can do this and go in and purchase the SVG and what everything means. So let's take a look at that. Here on my screen, I'm sharing with you some Christmas tags or ornaments that I'm turning these tags into ornaments. I'm going to use my laser machine and I'm going to create these ornaments. I will share a photo at the end of the video of the finished product, but I've designed these, and when I was designing it, I was using images from my library. Anything that downloads to your Silhouette library, such as this card file here, is a .studio file. If you need to use it and export it out of Silhouette after you have created something like I have with these ornament tags, then you need to actually use the SVG file. I'm going to go over here to the Silhouette Design Store. Here is one of the designs that I have used. You can see that it now shows I am logged in. It shows that I own it. If I click on the image, we now have this little message that says I already own it. Before, we could not purchase any additional options. Now I'm able to go in here and I'm able to click on SVG. It is going to then charge me the difference in the file, and that is great. I need the SVG. I have to download the SVG directly to my computer and open that in Silhouette to be able to create a file that I would export out as another SVG for my laser machine. You will also notice a little message here. This message is triggered as soon as I click that SVG option. It is triggered. It does not know that your computer has an upgrade if you already have it. So everybody is seeing this message. It is just simply a reminder to users that they do need Designer Edition or higher to open SVG files. So I can click on this little upgrade my product. I can check out, and then I'm going to download the file directly to my computer, unzip that folder, and open it to use it to create these designs. Now, since I used the .studio file on these files to create this, I have to start over. I have to start over designing this, because as soon as I open a .studio file such as this, if I open it, as soon as I open a file, that automatically triggers in the Silhouette Studio software that it is going to give me an error if I try to export this as an SVG. So if I come up here and I just do this as an example, save selection, if I try to save this as an SVG, it's going to give me an error that says I will have dashed lines. This is to protect the designer. So you go back in and you purchase the SVG file that you can use in other programs. So if it will not work if I were to try to export it like this. You have to open the SVG directly from your computer and use that file. I did continue just designing my tags in here so I could see what they would look like before I went and purchased the SVG options for these files. So I knew exactly if I would need to add that extra expense on. Once you have all the files that you would like to purchase, you can go ahead and check out in the Silhouette Design Store, and then those designs will show up underneath your account under your order history. Remember that the files that sync to the Silhouette library directly are .studio files, and you do have to download the SVG files directly to your computer. Now, once I've checked out, I can go and find that order. I just clicked on immediately on find the order, but you can also find it under your account under my orders, and then it's going to show up here. This is the last order I placed. When I click on that, now I can download each of those individual files. So I'm going to just quickly download those. My computer asked me where I want to download it to. You can choose to also rename these. So this is Merry Christmas. So I'm just going to do that. If you have not told your computer where to download the design to, then it will automatically go to your downloads folder. I'll do that for all three of these so I know exactly where they will show up. And I'll just keep those the same number. And then I'm just going to quickly find those under my new downloads here. If I click on that, I can go into this show folder, or you would navigate to where you have saved those. So then it just opens up that folder where I have saved it, and I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to choose extract all and extract. You have to extract the files before you can open them and have full access to that file. And then once I have that, I can just come in here and choose files. And in this case, it did not give me an SVG file. I will have to contact the Silhouette Design Store about purchasing the SVG file and not getting it. So let's see about these others here. I was so excited about this. This is how it should look. So then I should have an SVG folder, and there is my SVG file. And then I can just double check on the other one, and I have that SVG folder. So I will have to contact the Silhouette support and the design store to get the SVG file on the one that didn't show up. But that is now how you would use that. So now I can go back to my Silhouette software. I can go to File, Open, or use the little folder to open. And I have these in my file here. So I have Merry Christmas. Of course, I'll have to contact them. So I'll use this one as an example. This is the snowflake card. Come up here to the SVG. You do have to have the Designer Edition upgrade active on your computer in order to open an SVG file. I will put a link in the video description below on how to activate that if for some reason it does revert back to basic. So this file came in. The SVGs are, when they are saved at the size of the design, which is why you see my page size is kind of a bit wonky. It came in as a portrait 4 with a custom page size. SVGs open at the size of the actual SVG, and that is the page size for your SVG. So I can just come in here and I can change this to letter, and you can see your design. So now I can start to work with this file again. Now here is my new file. I'm going to come up to File, Open. Then I'm going to open those files where I saved them. So I'm going to use that snowflake design. The card, I need to open the SVG file. And then what I want to do is I want to grab this snowflake. I'm going to Control-C and then Control-V. That's going to paste it on there. And I can fill it with some color so we can see it. And then I can scale it down to the size I want to work with. Center that onto my design. Make sure everything else is centered. And then I know I'm going to do something else with this, so I'm going to make a copy. But to export this, I'm just going to left click and drag across everything. I should not get the error message now since I used the SVG. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to change it to an SVG. Type this in for snowflake Christmas ornament and save it where I want it to go. Tell it where I want to go. Hit OK. And then I have my SVG file. I can open it back up to check it. Go to open. And then I have my SVG file right here. Since I didn't get the error, it should open just fine. And there is my design. I'll be able to open this in my Glowforge software and be able to cut out this design the way I want to. Here's a look at those finished ornaments that I created in the Silhouette Studio software and then used my Glowforge to finish out. Make sure to check out the links below this video for the supplies I used and additional information on this entire process. Here's a look at that interactive ornament that I ended up creating. Thanks for watching and have a great day.